Did you know that San Francisco is covered in poop? I'm not joking. I'm not necessarily trying to be mean, but yeah, San Francisco is got a poop problem. They actually have a group called the Poop Patrol. San Francisco, you have way worse problems than whether or not the NRA is a, quote, domestic terrorist organization. But there's the story. San Francisco officials brand NRA a domestic terrorist organization. Well, first, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The NRA, for all it's, whatever you want to criticize it for, it's just, this is some of the stupidest political nonsense ever. San Francisco has serious problems with poverty, homelessness. That California recently voted to give non-citizens healthcare to expand government programs for non-citizens. And you've got a lot of crime, okay? You've got drug abuse, and this is what you spend your time doing. The National Rifle Association is funded by people to advocate on their behalf. It's American citizens who believe in the right to own and bear firearms. This is a waste of time. I don't even, I think it's really even dumb to talk about, but I guess we will. Fox News reports. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors has passed a resolution declaring the National Rifle Association a domestic terrorist organization, but not Antifa, who plagues, Berkeley, and urged the federal government to do the same. They don't. The latest escalation in the heated rhetoric from Democrats regarding the NRA in the wake of several deadly mass shootings. The resolution, which passed Tuesday, and says the U.S. is plagued by an epidemic of gun violence, accuses the NRA of using its considerable wealth and organizational strength to promote gun ownership and incite gun owners to acts of violence. I could be wrong about this. I am not a member of the NRA, never been a big gun person. I'm pretty sure there hasn't been any NRA member who's committed a mass shooting. I could be wrong, but that's my general understanding. So why are they trying to claim that the NRA is trying to incite violence? It is the most annoying thing ever. I'll tell you what, you want to annoy me? When the left comes out and says everything is incitement to violence, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's like, shut up, you whiny babies, dude. No one is advocating any kind of violence. You're just a lunatic who needs to shut up. It's the most frustrating thing ever. Plagued by an epidemic. More people die from eating peanuts. I could be wrong about that too. Look, again, not a gun person. It's just, is this what you're going to be talking about instead of cleaning up your poop problem? They say all countries have violent and hateful people, but only in America do we give them ready access to assault weapons. Yes, assault weapon includes a handgun. I'm not exaggerating. And large capacity magazine, thanks in large part to the National Rifle Association's influence. And again, I'm pretty sure law-abiding gun owners don't commit crimes with their weapons. It's criminals who do. Let's read on, but because I'm talking about guns, I gotta tell you what, go to timcast.com/donate if you want to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address. But unfortunately, talking about guns means hard D rank on YouTube. I don't know about Facebook. My videos are starting to pop up on Facebook. We'll see what happens. But I can tell you, simply by talking about this, I'm going to get demonetized and deranked. So if you think this issue is important and you think the left is increasingly losing its goddamn mind, then please consider sharing this video or supporting me through PayPal. Because how insane is it that we live in a country that has a Second Amendment and the National Rifle Association, you can criticize them for sure, but they're not terrorists, dude. They're advocating for the Constitution. The left is going nuts. Okay, man, let's read on. The document resolves to assess the relationship that those who do business with the city have with the group and says the city and county of San Francisco should take every reasonable step to limit those entities who do business with the city and county of San Francisco from doing business with this domestic terrorist organization. Oh, man. Okay, California, I heard that you guys want to declare independence, like secede from the union. I'm all for it. I am all for it if that's the case. There's been murmurs that California wants to leave the union, and I think we should just say, you know what? We're gonna cut our losses on this one. You do you, California. This is complete insanity. This is the leadership of San Francisco. The resolution cites the July mass shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival in which 3 people were killed. KTVU reports the resolution's author wrote the text after the shooting. The NRA responded by calling the resolution a stunt that was distracting from the city's myriad of social problems, like the poop problem. They have poop all over the streets. The ludicrous stunt by the Board of Supervisors is an effort to distract from the real problems facing San Francisco, such as rampant homelessness, drug abuse, and skyrocketing petty crime, to name a few. The statement said, according to KTVU, the NRA will continue working to protect the constitutional rights of all freedom-loving Americans. The measure comes as Democrats across the country are ramping up calls to crack down on gun ownership. in response to deadly mass shootings in Dayton, Ohio, and Western Texas. Well, Dayton, Ohio was an avowed Antifa supporter and somebody who wanted socialism. The problem is, in my opinion, not guns. Because with a country that has, 400 million guns, we have actually relatively few mass shootings. Here's something that I think, would be interesting, because again, maybe I'm wrong about that. But I'd be interested to see not the per capita mass shootings, right? A lot of people like to look at countries in Europe and say, how many people per 100,000 commit a mass shooting? Okay, I understand America has more access to guns, but let's do this. How many guns per capita relative to shootings per capita? That to me would be interesting. I think you'd find it's probably low. With 400 million guns, I believe, and the overwhelming majority of legal gun owners committing no crimes, I think you'd find that for the United States, in terms of legal weapons, you'll find very, very few. Because take a look at this with Australia and Europe. Guns are actually, for the most part, really difficult to get. Australia did this massive buyback program, and they recently had a mass shooting. So how many legal guns exist in Australia? Now, I think you can get legal guns in Australia. Don't get me wrong. It's just really difficult. I know it's a lot of places in the U.S., it's insanely difficult to get a gun, especially a blue state. Seriously. Although you'd think like Maine, Vermont. Oh, Maine's actually really easy. So I take that back. Maine's really easy, and Vermont and things are like pretty lax because they're, sparsely populated. But I guess the point I'm trying to make here is we have a lot of guns in this country, and we do have a lot of shootings, like Chicago. But in Chicago, it's really difficult to get a gun. I think if you took every gun owner, every gun, and compared the amount of guns in the country to per capita shootings, it would be ridiculously low relative to a lot of these other countries. And that's an important metric when we're talking about mental health issues, violent crime, or gun ownership. I think the reality is legal gun ownership has almost no correlation to a lot of these mass shootings. A small one, probably. But we keep hearing stories like in Texas, that the Odessa shooting, the guy had was supposed to have been stopped. The red flags didn't stop him. You have a lot of stories of people who illegally obtain guns and commit shootings, and that's most of them. Chicago, for instance, tons of illegal guns. So let's do this. Legal gun ownership to mass shootings per capita. And you'll probably find this is a waste of time and a stupid argument. They say, did I mention this? Okay. The measure comes as Democrats across the country are ramping up calls to crack down on gun ownership, even though most Americans disagree. In response to deadly mass shootings in Dayton, Ohio, and Western Texas, some presidential candidates have proposed mandatory buyback programs, notably Beto O'Rourke, who bluntly told reporters that would be the plan. Yes, he literally wants to confiscate your guns. And you know why this is alarming? Because he's like, if you got an AR-15 and an AK-47, we're going to buy them back, mandatory. It's like, okay, well, what about literally every other gun that functions in the exact same way as both of these guns? They have no idea what they're talking about. I tell you what, man, they're going to lose support in blue states. Bernie Sanders knows this from Vermont, a state where it's a blue state, but people like guns. And that's why Bernie in 2016 said it's an urban versus rural issue. He's right. Vermont, very rural, but still blue. It has nothing to do with left or right necessarily, although it is mostly the people on the left who have no idea what they're talking about, can't answer simple questions, and then want to ban literally every gun. Okay, figuratively, most guns. Literally most guns, not every gun. I was being figurative. The point is, these assault weapons bans, they make people imagine there's people like there's Americans walking around with full auto rifles like it's just not true. I want to be really clear. That's exactly what we're going to do, O'Rourke said. Americans who owe AR-15s, AK-47s will have to sell them to the government. Great. You know what that means? If you own an AR-15, go out and buy literally any of the other guns that functions the exact same and uses many of the same parts. Or put a wooden stock on it because apparently they don't know the difference. They have no idea what they're talking about. Then they say they want to ban fully semi-automatic guns. I kid you not. Fully semi-automatic. These people don't know what words mean. Republicans, however, noted that gun violence is still rampant in major cities like Chicago that have strict gun laws in place. Gun control doesn't work. Look at Chicago. Disarming law-abiding citizens isn't the answer, Senator Ted Cruz said. And I'd like to now talk about drugs, because banning them isn't the answer anyway. You know what? I'm a little lefty, but I'm on the libertarian spectrum here, man. I think the government cannot restrict these things. You can't do it. The cat's out of the bag with almost every drug, with guns, every single time they try to prohibit something, it doesn't work. So let's make that point. You have the pro-choice people saying if you ban abortions, people will just get them illegally. Yup, and they'll get guns the same way. How about we just make it legal then? It's a really, really complicated... Look, man, the moral dilemma on the choice stuff is much more difficult, admittedly, than like owning guns. Because I know people who own a ton of guns never committed a crime in their lives. Maybe like jaywalking. So let me point this out. I'm going to end how I started. San Francisco officials brand NRA a terrorist organization. Okay, but not Antifa? You kidding me? People in Berkeley have to put signs in their window out of fear of someone coming and destroying their business. These people are nuts. And there's poop all over their streets. Who would want to live there? Man, there's poop everywhere. Stick around. Next video will be coming up. Next segment will be in a few minutes. I do try to keep these ones shorter, so I will see you shortly.